Once the class had ended, Quinn had to give back the gauntlets and leave them in the weapons hall. After all, they didn't belong to him, and were only there for the purpose of him getting used to using a weapon. Once Quinn went on his first portal outing, then he would be able to hunt for a suitable beast to make a weapon of his own. At that time, he would also be allowed to borrow the equipment. As Quinn was heading back to his dorm room, he decided to first put his stat point into something. The system seemed to be consistent with the last time he had leveled up. Although there was no evolution process this time, he still gained 5 points of HP and 1 stat point. There was one thing that bothered Quinn, and it was the fact that his stat points were halved in sunlight. There would come a time where Quinn would need to be at full strength, even in the sun. When reading about vampires in novels, he was thankful that he was able to be in the sun at all, as some of them burnt to a crisp in an instant. Quinn decided to stick with his plan and add the stat point to agility. As long as he could hit his opponents without being hit back, he couldn't see himself losing, and worst case, if he couldn't hurt his opponent, he could always run away. It was also handy if he planned to use the clawed gauntlets as his weapon of choice. He would need to be fast to get in close and use hand-to-hand combat skills. The next thing Quinn wanted to check out was the new skill he had obtained from leveling up. The skill Blood Bank will allow you to store up to 100 milliliters of blood in your reserve. The blood bank will automatically be used to heal the user if HP drops below 5. Every 10 milliliters of blood will be used to restore 5 HP of the user. Quinn looked at the skill in disbelief. It seemed like the skill was too good to be true. Essentially, the blood bank acted as a second life for Quinn. As long as his blood bank was fully stocked up, Quinn was able to restore up to 50 points of HP. Not only that, but it had also solved Quinn's storage problem. Although Quinn had used a test tube and cork to stop the blood from oxidizing, it still wouldn't delay the process of it being spoiled for long. At most, Quinn would be able to keep the blood fresh for 8 hours without keeping in some special type of storage. Sure, he had Layla he could rely on, but Layla wouldn't always be by his side. Quinn then took out the test tube of Layla's blood and used his inspect skill. It seemed like the blood was still fine to be used for now. Skill Blood Bank. The blood then started to shine bright in Quinn's hand and suddenly vanished from the test tube. Blood Bank 10 of 100. Your hunger grows. Quinn was happy that the blood bank skill was convenient, and finally, after waiting for a while, he had received a message he had seen once before. Last time he had seen the message about his hunger the next day, the system told him he needed to consume blood, otherwise his HP would drop. With his blood bank skill, though, he wouldn't have to worry about it as long as he kept it topped up. After checking out all the information, Quinn had finally arrived back at his dorm room to see Peter and Vorden a little roughed up. "Wow, what happened to you two?" Quinn asked. "Was it the second year again?" No need to worry. This was just during our combat classes. The teacher made us do a sparring session on our first day." "Were there any problems?" "Not really. I was humiliated and lost my fight, of course. I still can't control my ability well enough. I think I was too nervous. When I brought out the stick of mud on my back, the other students started laughing and I got distracted," Peter explained. "But Vorden, on the other hand, was so cool. He told those kids to shut up and asked them to fight him next. Then, with the same ability as mine, he managed to defeat a level 3 user." "Oh, shut up," Vorden said as he patted Peter on the shoulder. "You're embarrassing me." "But if it's true, you were so cool back then." The three of them continued to share stories about what had happened in their combat classes. Quinn had even talked about his victory against Brandon. At first, they were surprised, but when Quinn explained that the use of abilities was banned, they understood. The three of them were exhausted from their first day of combat classes and decided to get some rest. The next day, when Quinn woke up, he was greeted with another message. "Daily quest complete, 5 EXP has been rewarded. 25 of 400 EXP. Your hunger grows. Your HP will now drop by -1 HP every hour until human blood has been consumed." The message had appeared roughly 2 days after he had last consumed blood, meaning this was the time frame before he would need to consume blood again. "Skill Blood Bank. 10 milliliters of blood will be consumed. Would you like to proceed?" "Yes." After selecting the yes option, a sweet fragrance entered his mouth. The hole he could feel in his stomach had disappeared, and once again he was satisfied and back to normal. Now all he needed to do was meet up with Layla and fill up his blood bank to the max. For the next week, combat class was a normal requirement for students. This would be the case until the teachers were satisfied to take the students on their first outing through the portals to hunt beasts. After the students picked their weapons from the wall, once again Leo stood at the front to give the students further instructions. Today's lessons will be sparring once again, but this time you will pick your own opponents. You will fight with them for a minute each before switching to the next opponent. On the battlefield, there will be all types of different opponents that use different weapons and abilities. It is important for you to get used to as many of these as possible. The students then immediately got into pairings, and Layla had run up to Quinn as soon as possible. "Don't worry, Quinn, I'll let you in the first one," she said with a wink. But just then Leo had walked towards the two of them. "I'm sorry about this, young lady, but I'm going to have to ask you to sit out of this one," Leo said. Layla then took a step back. Leo then pulled out his katana blade and pointed it at Quinn. "Show me what you got, boy, and don't hold back." Without Quinn realizing it himself, the rest of the students weren't really paying attention to their own matches. They were all looking towards Leo and Quinn. They wanted to see how the so-called blind swordsman fought. But in the room, 3 people in particular were paying attention to Quinn. "Look at him, he cheats in my match and now he's getting special treatment," Brandon complained. "Didn't Leo say he didn't use any ability?" Lupe asked. "He managed to break a beast weapon. Have you ever heard of that?" Brandon complained. "Maybe if he had a higher tier weapon, but all the weapons in this room are of the same tier." "Yeah, I agree," Faye added. "The weakling must have never fought in a fight in his life before, and then when he saw the opportunity, he just had to do it." Before the sparring match started, Quinn decided to use his inspect skill, but for the first time ever, not a single bit of information had come up. "Does this mean he's too powerful? Maybe when the skill levels up I might be able to see something?" Quinn thought. Suddenly, Quinn's blood started rushing through his body with excitement. He wasn't going to go easy on Leo in the first place, but if the match proved too easy, then he was going to ease up a little to not raise suspicion. But with a reward like this, Quinn would figure out an explanation later. Every time Quinn leveled up, the EXP requirement seemed to double, making it harder and harder for him to level up. "What's wrong?" Leo asked. "Oh, nothing, sorry," Quinn said as he got into a fighting stance. "All right, students, the minute starts now!" Leo shouted. In an instant, the sound of weapons clashing around the room could be heard, but the ones closer to Leo and Quinn decided to take it easy so they could watch the fight, and that included Brandon's group. As soon as the fight started, Leo dashed forward with a strike, but it wasn't at a speed Quinn couldn't handle. He blocked his first blow, knocking it away. However, straight after another attack appeared, but Quinn managed to block that as well. "A bit sloppy and rough, but your reflexes are good," Leo said. "Now let's take it up another level." Before Quinn could catch his breath, Leo attacked again with his blade, but this time even faster than the attacks before. But thanks to Quinn's agility points, he was still able to keep up. "Ha ha ha! I can't believe I'm actually having fun against a student," Leo said, laughing. And once again the attacks coming from Leo sped up again. This time it looked like Quinn was getting knocked around like a rag doll. All the students watching from outside thought Leo was playing with him, but Leo was truly impressed. Although Quinn looked silly, Quinn was still able to block each and every one of his attacks with the gauntlets. "Now try this!" Leo shouted. The attack from Leo's katana blade came from underneath. Quinn held out both his hands to block the attack, but suddenly it looked like the blade had disappeared and phased through his hands. Before Quinn knew it, the blade was right underneath his chin. "Beep, beep, beep." "Oh, looks like our time is up," Leo said. "About level 14 or 13, maybe. That's pretty good for a first-year student." Quinn was in admiration for the weapons teacher. At first, he didn't have a lot of respect for the teachers at the school. They would usually just dominate over the students and tell them to toughen up and get stronger, but Quinn felt like Leo was different. Quinn could now tell that Leo was able to beat him in a fight any time he wanted. Leo was just testing him to see how strong he was. What Quinn also learnt during that fight was just getting stronger and faster wasn't good enough. He needed to learn how to fight properly. "Please, would you be able to teach me how to fight?" Quinn asked as he bowed down. "Unfortunately, the weapon you have chosen I do not specialize in myself. Although I do think it suits your fighting style, it seems like you have had some experience in hand-to-hand combat," Leo explained. "There is one thing I can suggest to you. There's a popular VR fighting game that the military students from all the other schools play. The first thing you will need to do is get experience. Although the use of abilities in the game is not prohibited, so you might have a hard time, but still, I think it will be a good experience for you." "Thank you so much," Quinn said as he bowed down again. "Oh, and before I forget, it's been a while since I have had fun like that. As a prize, feel free to keep the gauntlets. When you get better in the future, come and challenge me anytime. I will be happy to fight you again," Leo said as he walked off back to the center of the weapons hall. After watching the fight, many of the students were quite disappointed. After seeing Quinn fight well against Brandon, they were hoping he would be able to do something against Leo, but to them, all it looked like was Leo with Quinn and around like a rag doll. Brandon then had come up with a brilliant idea and started to whisper into his friend's Faye's ear. "All right, students, it's time to get into your next pairing," Leo shouted. Just then, before Layla could get up and ask Quinn for a match, Brandon had gotten up in front of her. "Do you mind if us two have a round?" Brandon asked. Then another student, Brandon's friend Faye, had gone and approached Quinn. "Please, I would like to be your next opponent," Faye asked as he drew out his two short swords. "I don't see why not," Quinn said. Quinn didn't mind too much. "And please, begin," Leo shouted. Faye seemed to have some experience using the dual swords. His flow was natural, and he was able to follow his attacks up well from one to the next, but after fighting with Leo, the attacks just seemed slow. Quinn was able to see the path of each strike. But just like Leo had said, the most important thing for Quinn was the experience, so rather than relying on his supernatural strength and end the fight in an instant, Quinn decided he wanted to fight a little longer. Meanwhile, in Layla and Brandon's match, Brandon didn't seem to be doing much at all. He didn't charge in and he didn't attack. All he did was avoid Layla's arrows. It was as if his mind was focused on something else. That's when a noise was heard. Faye was charging in at Quinn and did some sort of little battle cry. That was the signal for Brandon to act. Brandon then lifted his hand and at the right time cast his wind blast right behind at Quinn's back. Quinn saw Faye's blades and was ready to block, but that's when he felt a strong force push him from behind. It knocked him off balance, and at the same time, Faye's blades went right into Quinn's stomach.
Subscribe to the Pocket FM Blockbuster YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notifications. Check out our channel for more exciting shows.